Scary, true horror stories animated. The story is set in a small, quiet town in Oregon. Alex, a 27-year-old journalist, returns to his childhood home after his mother's passing. He hasn't been back in over a decade, avoiding the painful memories tied to the place. His younger sister, Rachel, insists on helping him sort through their mother's belongings. Their childhood home is isolated, surrounded by dense woods, and has always felt slightly off. On his first night back, Alex finds an old VHS tape labeled "Do Not Watch." It's in their mother's handwriting. Curiosity gets the best of him, and he plays it on an old television in the attic. The footage is grainy, showing a young boy sitting in the very same attic, staring at the camera. The boy looks eerily familiar. Rachel walks in, startled to see Alex so pale. He rewinds the tape to show her, but the footage is different now, just static. She thinks he's tired and tells him to get some rest. That night, Alex has a strange dream of a shadowy figure standing at the foot of his bed. When he wakes up, his bedroom door is open, though he clearly remembers shutting it. The next day, while sorting through boxes, Rachel finds an old journal belonging to their mother. The last entry is from years ago, and it's chilling. "I see him in the attic again. He's watching. He never left." A knock at the door interrupts them. It's their neighbor, Mr. Turner, an old man who has lived next door for decades. He looks nervous, hesitant to speak. "You shouldn't have come back," he finally says before walking away. That night, Alex decides to check the attic again. He hears footsteps above him, slow and deliberate, but Rachel is asleep in her room. Heart pounding, he grabs a flashlight and cautiously climbs up. The attic is cold, the air thick with dust. A sudden noise makes him turn. The television flickers on by itself. The VHS tape is playing again. This time, the footage is different. The boy on the screen slowly lifts his head. His face is blurred, but his mouth moves. Though there's no sound, Alex understands what he's saying. "Why did you leave me?" Alex's hands clenched into fists. The boy's lips moved on the screen, repeating the same silent words. The static around him grew louder, almost deafening. He reached for the remote, but before he could press anything, the screen cut to black. The attic light flickered. A cold breeze rushed past his neck. He turned sharply, scanning the room. Nothing, just old furniture and dust-covered boxes. His heartbeat slowed, but something in the air felt wrong. He grabbed the tape and shoved it into a box, covering it with an old blanket. Whatever this was, he didn't want to deal with it now. Back downstairs, Rachel was still asleep. He checked the clock, 3:12 a.m., too late to think straight. He locked his bedroom door this time, double-checking before lying down. The house was silent. Morning came with an uneasy feeling. Rachel noticed. She pushed a cup of coffee toward him at the kitchen table, watching him closely. Bad dreams? Alex hesitated. He didn't want to sound paranoid. Maybe it was stress. But the way she kept looking at him made it clear she already knew something was off. Mr. Turner stopped by again. His eyes darted toward the house, then back to Alex. "Has anything strange happened yet?" Alex didn't answer. Turner nodded to himself, as if that was enough. "Your mother used to say things, thought she saw someone in the attic, but it was just talk. You know how she was." Rachel frowned. "What do you mean?" Turner exhaled. "Just be careful." He left before they could ask more. That afternoon, Alex decided to go through more of their mother's things. In an old photo album, he found a picture of himself as a child, standing in front of the attic door. But there was something strange. A shadow in the background, barely visible. Too tall to be Rachel, too thin to be their mother. His stomach tightened. Rachel walked in, holding something. It was the journal from the day before, now flipped to a page near the middle. "Read this," she said, her voice unsteady. The handwriting was their mother's, rushed and uneven. "He's still here. I hear him at night. He knocks on the attic door. He wants me to open it. I never will." Alex looked up. Rachel's hands were shaking. "Last night I heard knocking too." A cold weight settled in his chest. He glanced toward the ceiling. The attic hatch was closed. But now, he wasn't sure if that meant anything at all. Alex stood in the hallway, staring at the attic hatch. Rachel shifted beside him, gripping the journal. Her breathing was uneven. Neither of them spoke. The silence felt heavier now. Rachel finally broke it. "We need to check." He didn't want to. The thought of opening that hatch, of looking inside, made his stomach turn. But if they ignored it, would it stop? He grabbed a flashlight and pulled the ladder down. Dust fell in soft clouds. The attic loomed above, dark and quiet. Rachel stepped back, arms crossed tight. Alex climbed. The wooden steps creaked under his weight. When his head cleared the opening, he swept the flashlight across the space. Nothing moved. The old furniture, the stacked boxes, all the same. But something felt off. He climbed in fully, stepping carefully across the floorboards. The flashlight beam caught the old television in the corner. The VHS tape was still buried under the blanket where he had left it. The screen was black, but the power light was on. He moved closer, heart pounding. The air was colder here. A faint scent of something old, something wrong, lingered. He reached for the tape, but before his fingers touched it, the television flickered. Static. Then an image. A hallway. Dim, familiar. The flashlight shook in his grip. It was their hallway. The attic ladder was down, just like now. Then movement. A figure, barely visible, standing at the bottom of the ladder, its face obscured. Alex turned sharply, pointing the flashlight at the hatch. Rachel stood there, frozen. Something moved behind her. A shadow, tall, thin, emerging from the darkness of the hallway. Alex stumbled back. The flashlight flickered. His breath came in short, sharp bursts. Rachel, she didn't move, her eyes locked on something he couldn't see. Alex scrambled to the hatch, nearly falling down the ladder. He grabbed Rachel's wrist, pulling her back. Her skin was ice cold. The shadow lingered in the doorway, unmoving. Then, the attic doors slammed shut above them. The house fell into silence. Rachel clutched his arm. Her voice was barely a whisper. "It was watching me." Alex pulled her away from the hallway, away from the attic. His mind raced. The journal, the tape, the thing in the house. It was all connected. They needed answers. They needed to know what their mother had been hiding. Alex and Rachel sat in the dimly lit kitchen, the journal open between them. Rachel turned the pages slowly, eyes scanning the handwritten notes. Their mother's words were frantic, uneven. She wrote about the house, about hearing whispers at night, about seeing someone in the attic window when no one was there. Then, a name appeared. Samuel Hayes. Rachel ran a quick search on her phone. A news article popped up. Samuel Hayes, 42, missing since 1986, last seen near Hollow Creek, Tennessee. Hollow Creek, the town their mother grew up in. Alex frowned. Why would she write his name? Rachel scrolled further. Another article. Authorities discovered Hayes' abandoned car near a wooded area. No sign of struggle. His house was found unlocked, lights on. The only thing missing was him. Rachel flipped another page in the journal. A date was scrawled across the top. The 12th of March, 1986. The same day Samuel Hayes vanished. A chill ran through Alex. Rachel whispered, "Mom knew him." Alex hesitated, then nodded. Their mother had kept this a secret for decades. But why? The air felt heavier now, the shadows in the corners darker. The house seemed to breathe around them. Rachel turned another page. "I see him at night. He watches me from the attic. He doesn't move. He just stands there." Alex's stomach twisted. A sound echoed through the house, a soft creak, slow, deliberate. Rachel's grip tightened on the journal. Alex rose, stepping carefully toward the hallway. The attic hatch was closed, but something was different. A single footprint, dust disturbed beneath it. Rachel whispered behind him. That wasn't there before. Alex's pulse pounded. The journal, the tape, the attic, the thing that had been watching, it was all connected. And now, it knew they were looking. Alex and Rachel stood frozen, eyes locked on the attic hatch. The air around them felt wrong, thick, charged with something unseen. The journal lay open on the table. The last few entries were rushed, almost illegible. "He's here. I hear him in the walls. I see him at night. He won't let me leave." A deep creak echoed from above, then another. Rachel's breath caught. Alex reached for the nearest object, a heavy flashlight. The attic hatch sat undisturbed, but something was shifting beyond it. A whisper. Not words, just the sound of something breathing. Alex grabbed Rachel's wrist. "We have to go." Rachel hesitated, flipping the journal to the last page. A single sentence was written there. "The only way to stop him is fire." A sudden bang. The attic hatch trembled, dust drifting down. Rachel snapped the journal shut. Alex pulled her toward the door. They ran. The house groaned behind them. The shadows stretched along the walls. The front door swung open before they reached it. Outside, the air felt cleaner, colder. Alex turned. The attic window loomed above. A dark shape stood behind the glass. Watching, Rachel pulled his arm, the gas can. They found it in the garage, hands shaking as they poured fuel along the baseboards. The house moaned. A single match, a breath, a flicker of light. The fire caught fast. Flames licked the walls, climbing, devouring. The heat roared, swallowing the whispers, the breath, the thing that had been waiting. The attic window shattered. A scream not human cut through the night. Then silence. By the time the fire department arrived, the house was nothing but embers. Rachel clutched the journal, soot staining her fingers. Alex watched the ruins, waiting for something to move. Nothing did. Days passed, then weeks. The nightmares faded. The whispers never returned. Samuel Hayes was never found. Neither was their mother. But in the end, the house had burned. And whatever had been inside it was gone.